had a few requests about the Bilstein 5100 and how that lift in particular works on the Gx460. I have a 2017 Gx460. About a year ago, I lifted it with the Bilstein 5100. I did the Old Man Emu medium duty springs in the front and in the rear. So what that will give me is about 2.5 inches of lift without any weight. Being that it's a medium duty spring, I installed that in anticipation to install a winch. I do have the winch at home. I haven't had time to install it. I'm most likely going to do a hidden winch, similar to the way I did it on my Tacoma in the past. And the medium duty springs are between 100 and 300 pounds of weight, constant weight, and that'll give you about 2 inches of lift. So right now, being that I don't have any weight whatsoever, it's sitting closer to that 2.5 inch mark. And if you're wondering how the drivability and everyday use of the suspension is, and how is it to live with, and that's what we're going to talk about here. And I didn't no better way that I can think of than to actually take the car out on the road and just share my thoughts. So right now we're just cruising around 40 miles per hour. In comparison to the OEM suspension, you're gonna feel it stiffer. That's without a doubt. But it feels smooth still, even though it's lifted, even though it has a more aggressive tuning on the shocks or the springs. It still feels livable. The reason being is the fact that it's a good combination. The Old Man Emu springs combined with the Bilstein 5100 is without a doubt. And to get this out of the way, I 100% recommend this lift for anybody that's looking for something that's economical, practical in terms of cost, and also performance-wise. Performance-wise, I don't see something that's a better bang for your buck. I know there's a whole bunch of suspension lifts out there. I've had experiences with various other ones. We've had Fox shocks in the past as well, with remote reservoir. If you don't need those type of features, why get it? Why spend the extra money when you could use it elsewhere? How is it with towing? I've towed already with this, I'll say, a couple of times, and I could even compare it to the Gx470, which I used to own one previously. And Gx470 surprisingly towed pretty well. I had the air suspension on that one. I do not have the air suspension on this particular one, and I bought that on purpose. I did not want the air suspension, knowing that I most likely was going to lift the vehicle about 2 to 2.5 inches. Now, why did I choose 2 to 2.5 inches? Well, anything past that, you got to really focus on the KDSS system. I was not planning on removing the system. I did not want to have to do any type of adjustments with KDSS, worrying about it, nothing at all. I didn't want to touch it. So I went ahead and got the Bilstein 5100. It was highly recommended. But one thing that I noticed personally is that I don't see too many people talking about it in terms of the application of the Gx460. I'm sure that if you're watching this video, it's because you're interested. How does this suspension affect me, and is this something that's worth it? If you plan on just street driving, it's still worth it. And rather than just say, okay, get the Bilstein 5100s and you're gonna feel and be happy with it the same as me. Well, it all depends. How much of a lift do you want? Are you trying to go off-road? What type of off-roading? Are you going to overland? All those are factors you have to weigh in. Because if you use the factory springs, you're actually using a perch in order to create preload to get your lift. Whereas this one, the way I have it set up, it's the spring itself that is giving me the lift. And I feel like that's a better approach to get the lift rather than depending on the OEM spring. wasn't tired out. I did this lift thousands of miles ago. I'm at 89,236 miles as of this video, and I feel that despite your mileage, it's not about that. It's the fact is I wanted something that was ready to go. I ordered mine from Yoda Mafia. I recommend them. Great to deal with. Love the way that they did it. They torqued it down. They use a marker to make sure that everything lines up. So it makes it a little bit smoother for the installation. I could do a little bit of a install type of video. I do have footage of when me and my brother installed it. We do have access to a shop. Many people do not have access to a shop, but I opted, despite that, to do the lift on the ground. So I did it at home like anybody else would be doing, and I could share my thoughts and how that process went, the difficulty of installing the lift, and things of that nature. Right now I'm driving, coasting about 50 miles an hour. Suspension feels great. Over cobblestone roads, you're gonna feel it slightly more harsh, but you also got to keep in mind I do have mud terrains. I have General Grabber X3 tires. I will review those tires as well. Spoiler alert, they're amazing. I love them. Highly recommend those tires. Every time I go tire shopping for an SUV, for a truck, or when anybody asks me my opinion as to what tire they should go with, everybody has their own opinion. A lot of people love KO2s. No problem with them. The KO3s, the KM3s, whatever. My father has the mud terrain K tires, so you know, and he loves them. They do the job and everything, but they actually came OEM equipped on his Jeep Wrangler. And we'll talk about his Wrangler. We'll talk about those tires, how they have held up. Still the original tires on a 2017 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Recon Edition. I love that Jeep. Love it. Absolutely love that Jeep. We'll talk more about that. That's for another video. We're talking about the Gx460, and in particular the Bilstein 5100. So I've driven, I would say, at least, I have to go back and I'm pretty sure I have this documented somewhere. But again, this is an off-the-cuff video. We're just driving around, we're cruising, and I just wanted to address somebody in the comments. And you know what? I appreciate anybody that watches my videos. I'm really happy that you find any level of enjoyment, and I hope that my experiences, whether it be with the Gx460 or any other vehicle that I have in my fleet, or other vehicles that I plan on reviewing, that you benefit from it. Because sometimes we just need somebody that wants to speak their version of what truth is, because we all have a version of truth when it comes to, or honesty, or it's opinionated. This is an opinionated industry. So I want to just give my version of that, but a down-to-earth version. You know, we got people throwing statistics everywhere. They're throwing out numbers and on paper and how everything is great, but we need to know, how is it to live with daily? Let's hear from somebody that owns it, who has many years of experience with those type of vehicles, and how, and without any bias in terms of, I'm not receiving any money from these manufacturers. Not yet, anyway. Maybe, who knows, in the future I will. But I would disclose any type of information in which money would be involved, because I would feel that I want to know the truth. Like, how do you feel as an individual, as a consumer, in recommending something? And just because I buy something doesn't make it the best product, doesn't make it the right product for you. But when it comes to the Bilstein 5100 lift, I think that's the best bang for your buck in this economy, in an industry where there's a lot of flash, and where a lot of people can't attain what the people in the videos that they're watching, what they have, right? Like, we're talking about people that have almost limitless funds, or it appears that they have limitless funds. They're over there overlanding with $100,000 bills. Like, I really can't afford that. I'd rather spread that money out between multiple vehicles, and that's coming from us. That we do have a Sequoia TRD Pro, Okay, and maybe we could have bought something that was less, less money, such as this Gx460, and build it up with that type of money. But I'd rather present to you something that's realistic, right? Something that we could build, because in all honesty, anybody with that's okay financially speaking would be able to afford a Gx460 and do a Bilstein 5100 lift. In addition to that, the tires that I have on here, even though if you look them up, they may come up as fairly expensive, but yet if you do your research, sometimes there's specials. You could go on various different websites and you could still get a good deal on certain tires, lifts, and so forth. And if you're willing to do some of the work yourself, just some of it, I'm not saying that we all can do the lift on our own, but if you could get a helping hand, you could call somebody, you could reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to share with you some of my opinion. I'll get my brother on here. He'll help you out when he's available. One of the most busiest guys you'll ever meet. My brother is being pulled 1,000 different directions. Has years and years of experience when it comes to working on various models, and we're just here to share that knowledge to you. I've been influenced, or I've been almost encouraged to just do this, hearing it from other people. So let's talk again about the lift. Now that we've been driving a few miles in residential area, a little bit of the light highway drive right there, how it's feeling to me right now. It feels great, in my opinion. What's going to help too is also balancing the right air pressure on the tires. Sometimes we'll switch the tires, and I'm coinciding this lift with just talking a little bit about tires, and there's a main reason for that, a point for that, right? And that being the fact that if you're going to do a lift kit, chances are you are going to install bigger tires, maybe rims as well. I opted not to. I do like the factory look, so I did an OEM plus. I get a lot of compliments at gas stations all around. They think that the vehicle came like this, and they wonder, wow, why does my GX not look as good as his? Well, it didn't come like that, obviously, but it's something that I prefer. And if you're gonna do a lift kit, you're gonna most likely install tires. That's without a doubt. Size-wise, we'll talk about that. Why I chose this size, why I didn't go bigger now that I have the lift, because the lift is not the only factor when it comes to clearing tires. And we'll talk briefly about that in another video. Let's talk again about towing. I know I'm a little bit all over the place, right? I'm learning the whole thing about talking to a camera while driving. It's not something that I thought I would be doing. But what I've done enough times is speak to my wife, whether she be in the back seat with the baby or whatever, and I'm talking about cars. She doesn't have interest in cars, and she's like, well, why don't you just record yourself while you're doing this? You're sharing with me details. Maybe somebody else wants to learn about it. Maybe somebody else wants to understand how this lift will affect their life. When I lifted the vehicle, I didn't mention anything to her after we finished it. She did notice that it was higher step in that regard, but in terms of rideability, I took time before I asked her, how does the vehicle ride? And she said she couldn't really, she didn't have a noticeable difference in how the vehicle felt to her. Me, it's different. I'm very meticulous. I pay attention to those type of things, and maybe you're like me, or maybe you're more in between me and how she is, where you're gonna be like, okay, it's not really that noticeable. It's great. So when you tow with it, in my opinion, that's where it shines. When you tow and when you have weight. As I mentioned, the suspension is designed to have anywhere between 100 to 300 pounds of weight in the back. And when I have a full load of passengers, when we were driving down from New York and we had it loaded up with stuff in the back, my mom, she brought some stuff. We went over there to pick up the Lexus and everything, and we ended up bringing a whole bunch of stuff with us. So we loaded up, not too much weight in the back, a little bit, but between all the passengers and everything, we added a little bit of weight, and it feels better that way. So when you tow, I've towed up to 4,400 and change, about 4,484 pounds or so. And this is I added it up, still kind of rounding out exactly how much it was. And it felt like there was nothing there. There was barely any squat, but you could feel the give in the suspension and helping you. The load was not being shaken up. By no means am I an expert tower. I'm not like TFL going down the Ike Gauntlet. We're here in Florida. We're relatively flat. I don't have a weight distribution hitch or any type of brake controller. That was mine. There was a brake controller attached to the trailer, and it was active. I did feel it. It had a good response, but by no means am I an expert when it comes to towing. So I just want to get that out of the way. But in regards to how it feels in comparison to without load, it felt amazing. And the Lexus tows great, whether you have or don't have a suspension. But being that the OEM suspension is geared more towards road going, yes, this vehicle shares its roots with the Prado. It has the underpinnings of a highly capable off-road style vehicle. It's amazing, right? Off-road. Yet the suspension is still geared towards being soft. And I definitely noticed a difference when I towed with the factory suspension and with this aftermarket suspension, the Bilstein 5100s. It was a noticeable difference, and it was a positive effect. And see, that's what you want when you buy something and it has a good positive effect, a compliment. There are gonna be negatives. There's pros and cons to everything. The manufacturers and engineers made this Lexus a certain way with a plethora of details in mind when it comes to on-road, off-road, everyday drivability. And they put a lot of time and effort into that, and I applaud them for that, and I'm very grateful for what they did. But that's why we buy cars sometimes, right? We want to modify them, we want to lift them, we want to make them look a little bit more aggressive. I try to keep mine geared more towards the practical side, especially when it comes to this Gx460. I didn't want to go too crazy. I didn't want to go overboard. I wanted something that's going to be realistic and attainable. So what did I pay for the lift? I have to go back and look at it exactly. We're just making this video. We're just talking. Me and you, we're just having a good conversation. You're here to listen, to hear what I have to say about this, and I hope you get some level of enjoyment from it and some appreciation. Maybe it helps you. Maybe you say, Steve, thank you for letting me know about how that lift operates and how it works and functions in street use. I have yet to off-road it properly. I've taken it a little bit off-road, but to me it was more mall crawling than anything. So let's get that out of the way. We're strictly focused on everyday drivability, everyday capability in terms of what we're going to use it for. And that's what the majority of us are going to do. We're not going to buy it and go off-road. We're not going to go off-road 90% of the time. If we do off-road our Lexus, we're going to off-road it about let's keep it real. We're going to off-road it about 5% of the time. If I seem distracted, it's because I'm just trying to look at the traffic. It's not too much traffic, but we're driving here, right? We want to pay attention to the road. We want to get home safe. We want everybody to be safe on the road. So that's something that we want to keep in mind. Just give me a second here, guys. Just gonna probably turn around here, or maybe I'll park and let you guys just see the suspension a little bit, and I'll go maybe a little bit more, show you a little bit more with the camera the suspension. So it tows great. Everyday drivability, livability, it's good. The only thing is, obviously, you're going to lift it higher, you're going to be higher off the ground, so it's going to affect ingress, egress. So if you have a shorter spouse or family member, or if you have little ones, it's just going to be a little bit more of an effort. Now, I actually have to use the grab handle to get in, whereas before I didn't. So that might be something to consider as well, but you know, for me, it was a non-factor. I prefer the way it looks. I love the capability. I have the sport package, so outside I do have the lip kit and everything. I don't plan on taking it off for now. I do like the way it looks, and with the lift, with the tires, even if I off-road the vehicle, I feel that for the type of off-roading that I would be doing in this vehicle, I think it would be perfectly fine. I don't see any issues with that. So to recap, and just to reiterate, I do recommend the Bilstein 5100s. It drives good on road. It's good on the highway. I did a 1,200 plus mile road trip, and we were comfortable. My father doesn't have the best back. His back hurts him. My mom, she suffers a little bit as well, and they enjoyed the ride. I do have the captain's chairs here as well. I have them folded down. I had some stuff in the back. I use this car. I use it for what it's intended to be used for. I don't just have it to be you know, a showpiece. It's not just a soccer mom vehicle. I like to use it. I tow with it from time to time. I load it up with stuff. You know, I do have some marks in the plastic in the back, but overall, for a vehicle from 2017 with 89,243 miles at this point, it just, I can't ask for more. And we'll talk about in another video why I took this over a 4Runner. So let's go ahead and switch this up. We're gonna go outside the car. So you can see it's a substantial difference in wheel gap between this and the OEM one. Measurement wise, we're not being technical here. I don't have those numbers, but obviously it's a difference. And so we see the Bilstein 5100 right there. Beautiful. See the control arm. The angle is not too aggressive. It actually is still pretty good angles. I don't have steering wasn't really affected. It doesn't pull left or the right. It still has weight to it. You know, sometimes when you lift these vehicles, or vehicles in general, you'll feel like you'll feel the steering light, and any bump, you'll get bump steer, or you'll have some sort of reaction. Not here. So that's the front. And here's the back. Tire's a little red. There was some paint or something. It's spread all over here. I'm gonna have that removed. I'm not happy about it, but you know, it is what it is. Here's this side. The only thing is the stickers. You can see that right there. Try to focus. It's coming off a little bit. That's unfortunate. I do like the sticker, the way it looks on there. I like this thing, Bilstein. Yeah, so that's how she looks. So how has it held up after 1 year? Suspension has been amazing. Again, we're talking about on-road use. Off-road, light off-roading. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it as honest as possible. Light off-roading, soft roading. Somebody else wants to be on camera over here. What's up? So yeah, thank you for watching the video. Questions about the lift, I'm here to help out. I'm here to have a discussion about it. I'm gonna try to post a video about the install. I'll post that at a later time. So catch you on the next one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.